Hi there. George R. R. Martin just made a very interesting blog post explaining what he feels is the real main reason behind the current Writers Guild of America strike. And it has nothing to do with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, taking jobs away from human writers. They'll never have the nuance of a live writer or anything. It's not about changing technology any more than the last strike in 2008, which was basically the studios seized on the opportunity and said, hey, all that content you're writing for internet exclusive, streaming exclusive stuff, that doesn't really count because it's not on broadcast TV, so we don't have to pay you. That's an excuse. That is nothing. This could have happened in the 1950s with someone going, well, it's on the radio now, it's not typed or something. It's pure. They got really centralized, really powerful, and really corrupt. And the studios just are looking for excuses to squeeze money out of people. That the decline of guilds, the decline of labor unions, all of the rich getting richer, poor getting poorer stuff, the centralization of that, it's not because of technology. Now, originally I wasn't going to make a video about Martin's blog post. He made two blog posts. The first one was just saying what I already said in a video I made on my own, that I didn't think this strike would really affect House of the Dragon Season 2, and there isn't cause for alarm. Martin basically repeated that in his first one at the beginning of the next one, that he reiterated, oh yeah, the scripts are done, they've even had 4 to 5 sets of revisions on them, they're really done, we'd started filming. This won't affect Season 2, I made a whole separate 30-minute video about that, please check that out. And, obviously it might delay Season 3 a bit, but delays are delays. Started this one, he also reiterated, yeah, this means we can't work on A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms because Ira Parker and his writing team are striking right now, but we hadn't even begun. But those are delays. The whole point of my last video was, look, they'll delay this, they won't rush it through production. Streaming TV doesn't do that anymore, they push dates back. No, none of that concerns me. I wasn't going to make a video about that because it won't hurt it. What Martin said about the real reason behind all of this was deeply upsetting, and I do want to share it with you quickly. I'm just keeping this short. I want you to actually go and read his blog post start to finish. Putting the link in the description box, nothing can replicate the full level of detail he gives in it. The strike is happening due to something called mini-rooms. But that name is misleading. It's more of a ranking system, a hierarchy that the studios developed among writers. That there are senior writers who increasingly are a small old boys group. There's like 2 or 3 people out of a group of a dozen writers who are the senior writers. And then the regular writers who are the junior writers. That sounds like, oh, they're the newbies. This is a staff writer who in the opening credits is teleplay by this person. They are the screenwriter. These aren't writing assistants or temps or something. That they developed this internal hierarchy, and obviously on Game of Thrones we had the problem that they didn't have a writer's room and we were really angry about it, but it's eerily similar to that. A lot of shows these days, rather than having a full writer's room meeting, will have a month-long meeting between the top 2 or 3 senior writers, and by that, as Martin explained, it's anyone with producer in their title. When you see someone listed as I'm a writer and co-executive producer, or co-producer, those are the senior writing staff who actually go to meetings. And frequently, the people who are just teleplay by, just I'm a screenwriter, they just mail in the script and are not part of the discussions. At all. But again, it's not about the mini-rooms themselves, it's about the rank system and 2 things resulting from that are related. The people who don't go to the mini-rooms, the people who aren't senior producer writers, the junior writers, aren't allowed on set during filming. So they don't get production experience to become co-producers. Or you promote up co-producers because they've been writing for a while, but they're not really allowed on set. It's that whole Peter principle thing of, if someone is a recently promoted co-producer, they've actually never done production work before. Only once you become a co-producer are you allowed to go on set. So a lot of what Martin is yelling about is it's that whole fresh out of college thing of, well, you need work experience to get work experience. That a lot of his blog posts is about when he was in the TV industry in the 1980s. He went on to Twilight Zone revival. He went to Beauty and the Beast. How, and he goes through this in a whole blog post, read the whole thing, step by step. They showed me how the actual filming process works, all aspects of it, from casting to editing to vital on-the-set production logistics that would shape the writing of we can't afford that, or that's logistically difficult, can you rewrite it? So the first of the two derivatives of the mini rooms, apart from you're not part of command decisions, is you don't gain logistical production experience. And it's a closed loop that way. And as he went, where are these new people going to come from if you keep going back to the well like that? What genuinely horrified me was the second point Martin gave, of the two results of the mini room system, the tier system. The junior writers aren't on set to offer refinements, even if you're not wasting time training them. That if you go, hey, the set got rained out today for that exterior shoot, or this thing in your script is beyond our capacity to build at the moment, it's too expensive, can you rewrite it into an interior scene for some reason? Things that wouldn't involve wasting time training the writer in production, just we need to change that, reword it into something that's cheaper. They don't let them do that. So they're not striking over artificial intelligence. The strike is very much over the specific thing we are worried about, that it is affecting. They're striking to show, well, the House of the Dragon ones, anyone who's already physically submitted scripts for shows that are filming right now, are trying to emphasize writing doesn't end when we submit the script, and the mini room senior writers are dominating the process. The strike, the thing they are specifically affecting is what's at issue, that we need to be part of the filming and refinement process, the reshoots process, the entry-level writers who, well, if I'm credited with the teleplay, I should be there. Well, first off, you can kind of see that they don't want to pay the writers to do that. That it's not about AI, we don't want to pay them. But where it goes into bizarro territory here is they don't even give you the right, if the showrunner doesn't want you to, you don't have the right to even be on set for free. That even if you go, well, I want to put out a really good product because my name is attached to it, I'll do this for free. I will hang around on set as an observer, and if something goes wrong and the line producer comes to me, I can offer a quick fix because, I'm the writer on it. That's entirely up to the showrunner and their ego. That if the showrunner doesn't want you doing that, they can tell you to leave. The exact quote by Martin here is, like, the line producer will not sit down and go over the budget with them, as I did on Twilight Zone, or patiently explain why we can't have 9 matte paintings or this huge montage. And that was a huge problem on Game of Thrones, that there was this utter disconnect between the writers and, well, not just because they were the showrunners and they still weren't listening, but you remember all those examples of Deborah Riley, Miguel Sapochnik freaking out that is beyond our physical capacity. You are wasting money by having us build interiors to King's Landing shops that we know we're never going to put the camera on. You made us build a fully realized Winterfell set, then shot it at night, never put the camera in the fully functional bakery that we build. Why did you make us build it? We would have told you no had you discussed this with us. So it's even in their own interest, even beyond the matter of paying them. It's, you don't want them on set to discuss this with the line producer in case something goes wrong. And the only reason I can think of for doing that is because then if they're doing it for free, they'll start getting ideas about maybe I should be paid for this advice. But it's counterproductive. You need to be on set. So they are striking specifically over even the low-ranking writers need to be part of the reshoots process. That is actually the primary reason this strike is happening. And it is frightening, and he said just a couple of days ago, the one half-hearted olive branch that the studios gave was, hey, maybe if the showrunner's cool with it, you can come as an unpaid intern to, quote, shadow and observe. And like that's what we're doing now. And it's still, the point is, no, it should not be up to the showrunner. It should be up to, I wrote it, I should be on set just in case something goes wrong. That is counterproductive. So, keeping this short at 10 minutes, read through Martin's whole thing. He explains this more clearly than I can with better examples of, this is how I did this in the 80s and 90s. This is how the system devolved from that. It has nothing to do with artificial intelligence. And it's just a screwed up system because they increasingly turned into this, I keep saying, the old boys network of, we have a handful of superstar showrunners who do everything and overhype. Well, they can oversee everything, even if they were good at their job. Like a Ryan Condal, Miguel Sapochnik of the world who know logistics. Like Sapochnik's himself a director. Even if this isn't Benioff and Weiss who didn't know what they were doing, there's more work in terms of refinements and reshoots on like a 10-episode prestige drama series than one or two people could ever oversee. That's the paradox, the self-defeating paradox of when you micromanage. The entire point of management is the job is too big for one person, you needed to delegate it to other people. You can't go around doing their job for them. Any more than the showrunner can also be the personal director on literally every scene they film. So if you're leaving the refinements, reshoots process up to, no, only the senior writers are literally 2 to 3 people out of a 8 to 10 person writing staff, it's more work than 2 to 3 people could ever do. And a lot of them are such control freaks, they'd rather let the work go unfinished or unpolished than let someone else make those refinements. It's counterproductive. That yes, the writer, the entry level, if I'm credited with the teleplay, if my name is in the credits, I should be there during on-set filming in case there's a need for reshoots if a problem happens. That is what the current situation is about. Please read Martin's blog post. It was both upsetting and very informative.